Force is your typical spellcaster class, using techniques to annihilate scores of enemies. In today's video, we are going to discuss a powerful build for playing a Force Tector. To start, let's look at your class tree. At this time, we have 47 skill points to spend. And here's how we spend them. Start by maxing out PP Conversion, which temporarily reduces your max HP in exchange for an increase in natural PP recovery. Max out PP Recovery Boost, which increases natural PP recovery. Eradication PP Gain, which recovers PP when enemies are defeated in your vicinity. Technique Charge PP Well Up, which lets you recover PP while charging techniques. Resta Field Force, which changes your Resta sign into an AoE heal. Slow Landing Charge, which slows your fall speed when charging a technique. PP Conversion Increase, which allows you to use PP Conversion twice. Technique Domination, which increases damage dealt to downed enemies by techniques. United Techniques Force, which allows you to use compound techniques. Attacking fills the gauge of your compound techniques and allows you to use them when full. Photon Flare, which temporarily boosts your max PP and weapon potency. United Technique PP Well Up, which provides natural PP recovery when using a compound technique. Put 2 points into Compound Technique Gauge Amplifier, which builds your compound technique gauge when you attack an enemy with their elemental weakness. Photon Flare Short Charge, which reduces your technique potency and technique charge time during Photon Flare. Photon Flare After PP Gain, which refunds the PP you use during Photon Flare when the effect ends. Max out Photon Flare Short Cycle, which reduces the duration and cooldown of Photon Flare. Maintain PP Gain, which recovers your PP if you don't dodge or attack after using a technique. Elemental Bullet, which will add an additional attack when you use a technique after guarding with your weapon action. Rod Technique Hold, which will maintain charging of a technique when sidestepping or using a weapon action while doing so. It also lets you use that technique again for free and will also charge it faster. Rod React Advanced, which makes you invulnerable for a while when you use a technique, while also using your weapon action or dodging an attack with a sidestep. Elemental Bullet Extended, which accumulates elemental bullets if you don't attack or dodge after using a technique. Max out Rod Technique PP Well Up, which lets you recover PP naturally while using techniques, but your natural PP recovery is reduced. Rod Charge Quick Move, which increases your movement speed while charging a technique. Finally, Rod Attack Impact, which builds up a gauge when an enemy is hit with a technique multiple times. When the gauge is full, your next 6 normal attacks will be stronger and match the element of the technique you used. Your subclass is Tector. The skills we want from the Tector tree are as follows. Max out Weak Element Amplifier, which increases your Photon Blast gauge when you attack enemies with their elemental weakness. Max out Awake Ale, which makes your Photon Blast charge faster around bosses. Toybrand, which places a fire seal on an enemy you hit with a fire technique several times. Hitting an enemy with a seal with another fire technique causes the seal to explode, dealing additional damage and restoring PP. Barda Blot, which places an ice sigil on an enemy after hitting them with several uncharged ice techniques. Hitting the enemy with a charged ice technique causes the sigil to explode. Zondaclad, which causes you to enter a high voltage state after hitting enemies several times with uncharged lightning techniques. While in this state, your next charged lightning technique will deal increased damage, then you return to normal. Max out Compound Tech Gauge Amplifier, which does the same thing it does on the Force Tree. Zangale, which will affix a vortex to an enemy after hitting them with an uncharged wind technique. Hitting them with a charged wind technique will activate the vortex, causing a different attack depending on which wind technique you used. Rance Glitter, which will surround you with a halo after hitting an enemy multiple times with a light technique. While you have this halo, using light techniques will result in additional attacks, which depend on the technique you use. Gaining an additional halo does not stack them together, but resets the duration a halo is active. Finally, Megan Sphere, which causes a dark orb to follow you when you hit an enemy with an uncharged dark technique. You can stock up to 3 orbs, and when you use a charged dark technique, you consume all active orbs to increase the damage of that technique. The damage bonus corresponds to the number of orbs you stocked. You will have 13 points left over in the Tector tree, which must be spent, but can be spent however you wish, as nothing else in the tree matters for this build. Regardless of whether you are fighting groups of enemies or bosses, your strategy is largely the same. Your job is to spam techniques that match your target's elemental weakness, being sure to use the elemental ability that matches the element you are using, such as using Foebrand when using fire techniques or Bardablot when using ice. When the gauge is full, be sure to also hit your enemies with your compound techniques. Using Photon Flare when available, especially against bosses, is also a good idea. At the time of this recording, the gear you want for this build are a Flugelguard Rod and any combination of Octo Armor and Octo Armor VO. The Flugelguard Rod drops from Mining Rig Ritem rank 3, as well as the Omen of the Planet Breaker urgent quest. Octo Armor can be exchanged for in the Growthbin Exchange Shop, and Octo Armor VO can drop from Mining Rig Ritem rank 3. The augments you want for all of this gear are Technique 4, which drops from Field Races, Darkfall's Aegis, Mining Rig Defense Kavaris rank 2, Doldoris Vera, Nils Vera, or purchased from the Genesis Point Exchange Shop. You also want Speed Trippable, Gladiosol, High Hail Domina, Hal Finale, and Gigas Mast, which are all exchangeable for in the Augment Capsule Exchange in the Item Lab. And that's all for this build. Thank you for watching, and if this video helped you, please like the video and subscribe for more PSO2 content. I will see you next time.